Hey, what's up? This is Mel from GirlChatSports, and you're listening to Sports State of Mind by Snipes KB.
Yeah, man. Welcome back to Sports State of Mind, episode 41. I am your host, Snipes KB, and in this episode, I got two special guests with me. These guests come all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. These women right here have a podcast of their own, which is called Girl Chat Sports. All right, you guys, episode 34, Sports State of Mind. I am your host, Snipes KB, and I'd like to welcome you guys to this podcast. In this podcast, I have two special guests with me. I found both of these women on IG, and now I actually have them on my podcast right now. I have Mel and Mo, who has a podcast by the name of Girl Chat Sports. Welcome to the podcast, you guys.
Thanks.
Hey. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so my first questions to you guys are: what sports do you play? What teams do you like? And explain why you're a fan of those teams.
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Mel. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Melissa. So I played softball and basketball from young till probably through high school. Did some karate and whatnot. But I didn't play anywhere else because I knew I wanted to go to the University of Washington, which is where I graduated from. But I was not a D1 athlete, so I kept it moving. I am from Seattle, so I rep all my Seattle teams. I'm a Seahawks diehard fan. I loved the Sonics at one time when they were there, but the Bulls have always been my team for sure since day one. I think I'm a Mariners fan just by default. And while living here in Las Vegas, I definitely became a hockey fan from the Vegas Golden Knights, as well as a WNBA fan with our local Las Vegas Aces.
How about you, Mo?
Okay, so growing up, I played freshman basketball just in the ninth grade year. Kind of left it at that. And so after that, I just kind of had a love for sports anyway, being from Las Vegas, because that's where I'm from. And we didn't really have necessarily a pro team, but I grew up with men in the house. So I'm the only girl with two brothers. And I have my mom, of course. But what I loved the most was watching NBA with the Lakers. That was my team, Los Angeles Lakers, it still is. And then I was a Los Angeles Raiders fan before they were Oakland as the originators. And then for baseball, I do have a love for baseball. Sad that the season is officially today and we have no season starting. But anyway, my team is the Dodgers for Los Angeles. Always been a Dodgers girl.
So my next part, normally, since you guys had expressed the teams that you like, I have a game called Hi, My Name Is. This right here would test how much of a fan that you are for your respective teams. I am going to go first with you, Mo. And of course, I am going to talk about your Los Angeles Raiders.
Well, now Las Vegas Raiders.
I said Los Angeles. I'm sorry. Las Vegas Raiders.
No, it's all good. It's all good. They're Las Vegas now. You can go Los Angeles. It's fine. I know it takes some getting used to. It literally takes some getting used to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
All right. So, if you know the answers to this question, if you can just hold off and wait until I finish, so that way the people that are listening, they have a chance to at least try to guess it while they're listening. All right.
Okay.
So here we go. I was drafted in the third round, 78th overall in the 2007 NFL Draft by the Green Bay Packers. My NFL career was 9 years playing for four teams. I played for the Green Bay Packers, Oakland Raiders, New York Giants, Green Bay Packers, and San Diego Chargers. I have one Super Bowl championship with the Green Bay Packers. In 2012, I led the NFL with receiving touchdowns, and my career stats is 433 receptions, 5,861 yards, and 51 touchdowns. Hi, my name is.
I want to say. Uh,
I can give you another hint if you want one.
I don't know. I was thinking Chuck Wood, but it's not. It's not Chuck. I don't know who that is. 2007. I don't know who that is. I was thinking it was Chuck Wood, but it's not.
No, this he played for the Raiders. I'm sorry, in 2014.
Oh, oh, he's a new Raider.
But he was drafted in
He was
'07, you
drafted
said.
in
Oh, drafted in
2007.
'07.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Played in 2014. I don't know. You got me.
James Jones.
What?
James Jones from the Packers.
Yeah, but I mean, I know who you're talking about, but I was like, I would have thought Chuck Woodson. Like, Woodson played for quite some time. And I know he
Oh.
didn't travel for all those different teams
Oh
for
yeah,
that long, like that,
yeah.
those years.
All right, Mel, are you ready?
I'm still trying to figure out who James Jones
You don't remember who
is.
James Jones is? Am I the only?
I mean, I had to look him up.
No.
I had to look him up, and I'm like, oh, okay,
You guys don't
all
remember
right.
James? I mean, he was killing when he was with Green Bay. That's why he led the league in receptions, and he was like their second receiver, in which the time when the Raiders picked him up, that was a big pickup.
Right. I guess I didn't
And he wasn't with us in 2016 when we were in the playoffs. I don't think
No.
he didn't play with us
Mm-mm.
that long.
Mm-mm.
Exactly. So that's why I was like, he didn't have no impression on me, I guess.
trying to bring some people out the
I
skeleton
mean,
I
closet.
know. I'm
I'm just
like, shoot,
saying. I'm just saying.
ask me something easy, like when the Raiders got started, like when were they born, like something like that. I know
All
that
right.
answer. Sheesh.
All right. So Mo, no Mel. So here we go for you.
Yeah.
All right. I was drafted 7th round, 204th pick overall out of Oregon State by the Cincinnati Bengals. I played in the NFL for 11 years, playing for 4 teams, playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, your Seattle Seahawks, the Baltimore Ravens, and ended my career with the Oakland Raiders. In 2007, which was my best year, I made the Pro Bowl and I led the league. I tied with Wes Welker for the most receptions in a season, which was a 112. My career stats: I have 627 receiving yards, 7,237 yards, and 44 touchdowns. Hi, my name is.
And you said what were the teams he was
So
on
he
again
played for the
besides us?
Cincinnati Bengals from 2001 to 2008. He played for your Seattle Seahawks only for one season in 2009. In 2010, played for the Baltimore Ravens. In 2011, he played for the Oakland Raiders.
I don't even know that one, Mel.
I'm like, hang on. 2007 was his
He
best
he
year.
he
He
was
was a
receiver.
receiver because he was going against Welker.
He played for the Cincinnati Bengals. So around 2007, of course, everyone knows one of their famous receivers that was playing for the Bengals. He was on the opposite side of that person before he went to the before he went to the Seahawks, and which was a good pickup around that time.
It wasn't Ocho. No, it wasn't Ocho. We
Ocho
didn't
never
have
played for
Ocho.
Oakland.
Husmanzada.
There we go, TJ Houshmandzadeh.
Ah, TJ Houshmandzadeh with the
With the
ponytail.
ponytail.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. We
Houshmandzadeh.
didn't have Ocho.
He did play with the Raiders. I
I
forgot
forgot.
about
Well,
that.
he was on the team. He didn't play
Play
Yeah.
a whole
right,
lot. I don't know.
exactly. TJ Houshmandzadeh. Okay. Good
Oh
job, Mel.
wow.
Good job.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All
Okay.
right,
He
so
digging in the crates.
yeah, I
Digging in
have
the
to,
crates
man.
this
I have to. I
morning,
have
man.
Right.
to.
He digging in the crates.
She got it though. That's good. All right.
Ponytail guy. If you had said a ponytail, that probably would
Yeah,
have did it for me.
that's why. That's why I ain't said because I know for sure if I would have said it, you would have got it off jump. All right. So moving on to the second quarter, as we all know, it is Women History Month. And Mel, my first question to you is: what does Women History Month mean to you?
Well, Women History Month is just a time where we can definitely take a moment to acknowledge the women in our lives that have either guided us, inspired us, or been a role model for us beyond just like family or friends, but others that maybe in like for sports, for example, since we're in a sports podcast, the people that you might have looked up to in the sports realm. It just also kind of encourages you to support each other. I think there's a lot of times where women we forget to support each other versus just being petty or side-eyeing or not really being supportive of each other's movements. So I found that it's really helpful for us to try and take time to support either other businesses or podcasts, our friends, our family, or whatnot, and just try and keep it a positive month. Although this has probably been the
Oh
worst
yeah,
of
I know,
March
right?
in all of history, so we definitely deserve a do-over. The women need to have another month.
For sure.
All right, so Mo, so my next question is, how are you making an impact each day?
I feel like um, I feel like with the impact of especially what's going on, I think it's just to kind of branch off and or branch out, if you will, to everyone and just spread positivity, especially with these crucial times. I think with our podcast, we're really good about posting and still uplifting and entertaining and keeping people abreast, even though a lot of the information is regurgitated as far as what's going on with sports because everybody's paying attention. But I think with our platform, it just makes it a little different because we actually highlight things that probably kind of get lost in the shuffle. So I think every day I try to, or we, I should say, and myself, try to kind of display that with our posts, anything I personally post, just to kind of uplift and, enlighten, drop gems, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. If anything comes up, try to share, and not hoard or keep to myself. And that's pretty much a thing I should do routinely every day is kind of if you have some great information, share it, especially to all of our
Right.
peers.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. I mean, because especially just like we just said, during these times right now, everyone is doing the self, the self quarantine,
Yeah, exactly.
and I think this is this is day 6 for me, and I like almost lost it today. So I mean, giving positive energy out, and just like you said, giving out the gems for sure is really important. So my next questions to you guys as well is like, what are your thoughts on why women do not get the respect that they deserve in sports?
Well, I can start with that one. I think that we're still in a pretty, no matter how far we go, we're still in a predominantly male dominated society, whether it be big business, corporations, just in general. Um, and I think that's kind of left it where it's at, and it obviously still needs to change. And I think a lot of that's happening now with regards to like the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement change, the women's soccer team, and their petitioning with the soccer leagues for equal pay. It's definitely changing a lot more now in those last probably 5 years than it had the first however many. I mean, when I was growing up, there wasn't these women that played professional sports, at least not, visually you could see them on any given station, at any kind of network, any kind of league. They weren't around. So it's been really important, I think, for those people that have the names, that have the notoriety, the publicity, that to take it, take that on and try and help the rest of the women kind of get on board. But even like in our regular jobs, like it's tough to be able to get equal pay, and it's sad that we still live in this kind of male dominated society, that men control things that women don't. But of course we're trying to push all the barriers and make things change, make a change happen permanently.
How about you, Mo?
Well, I think it just starts out of the way society started with gender roles. And I think it's always been that perception that women weren't to do any of what is labeled as men behavior or men's work.
Mm,
So I feel like ever since the
mm-hmm,
beginning of time, when they had women as a role of being a nurturer, a provider, as if you will, as far as bearing children, cooking, cleaning, domestic things, you didn't see it until the glass ceiling was broken in corporate America or in jobs that women and in women's rights when the Women's Rights Act even came about. Women weren't even allowed to vote. So look at from there to where we are now, and it's still a slow climb, in my opinion. I think we could have far advanced in ways that have inclusion of women in a lot of sports and different things. But it is a step in the right direction. Why it took 2020 for us to actually get our voices heard, because I feel like this is the time, or I'll say 2019. It's just beyond fathomable because I can't believe it. Because again, we've always been labeled in society as women don't do those things. Women don't play sports. Women aren't supposed to
mm-hmm.
sweat. Women aren't supposed, so when you have that kind of label and far misconception as you see today, it just makes it harder for anybody that's up and coming to try to break that barrier with the old man's mentality, the boys club mentality.
Yeah.
So I think now
Mm.
we're seeing a page turn. We're definitely seeing a page turn. I just feel like I think that the guys with that mentality, it needs to go away. And we're seeing it in some of our pro athletes. We're seeing guys that are supporting women's sports being more vocal and advocating for women's sports, equal pay, having opinions, sharing those opinions. Because before the men would just stand mute, like I'm not going to touch the women's issue. But now you have men that are speaking out. So I think that's pretty much what has kind of held back a little bit with women in the family.
Yeah, both of those were great, great answers, by the way. I was just letting you guys talk because I was like, preach. If we were in church, I would have said, well, but
Church, let the church say amen. Amen, amen, amen.
Amen.
Uh-huh.
but
Hallelujah.
another athlete in which God God rest his soul, that was definitely given more attention, especially to the WNBA, was Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
Not only was at the time, not only was he bringing his daughter there, but he was also speaking up on all things that needed light on for the league. So my next question, of course, we talk about women and we talk about their impact in sports. You guys actually have a podcast, Girl Chat Sports, and could you guys tell me a little bit more about that as far as how it started? And
So, Girl Chat Sports was actually started as well, it started as like a online kind of thing through a third party that no longer is with Girl Chat. But I kind of wanted to take it into more of a, instead of just on online or um like online newspaper kind of thing, I wanted to make it more of a podcast and make it more visual or audio, so people would be able to listen and check us out. And we had went through, my last co-host was a girl named Stephanie Washington, who we loved, but she was unable to do it due to her work constraints. And then me and Mo had been friends through another friend for I'd say at least like over 10 years now. And we had hung out and we had, spent time together. And I always knew she was a big sports fan and a big sports head. So it was kind of like when I needed somebody else to fill in the role, I was like, Mo's perfect. Me and her have already been friends, which previous co-hosts of mine were never like actual friends for a period of time beforehand. So it kind of makes our vibe pretty strong and we feed off each other really well. We're both have our quirks and we have our teams and we're both passionate about our teams and by our players. And I think it's just made it for our audience to realize just how well kind of we click together, and we've always gotten good compliments on how it sounds
okay.
with both of us in there. So yeah, thanks Mo for joining
Yeah.
me on this
Thank
road.
you for allowing me to join because I was very hesitant about joining the road.
But yeah, so me and Mo have been going strong for probably about a year and a half now.
Okay. Oh wow.
Almost 2 year. I can't remember when we
Yeah, it'll be
started. I
two
think we
years in
started.
October.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah.
October.
So about a year and a half
Yeah.
so far right now. Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. All right. So like my next question would be for you, Mo. What challenges do you guys encounter by doing the podcast?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think sometimes we do get challenged on or being questioned if we don't know our stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
don't judge me from that trivia question. Don't judge
No,
me
no,
from
no.
that.
I
Okay.
don't. No.
I'm just being funny. I'm just being
Oh,
funny.
okay.
But I think sometimes we get challenged by guys, some males that think we don't know what we're talking about, especially if we have males that are guests, because then when we get into our flow, they're like at the end of the show saying, "Oh my God, you guys really do know your stuff." Like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we wouldn't be on here if we didn't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, we are
And
cute, but we do know stuff
yeah,
too.
right. But we know stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not gonna sit here and yeah, we're definitely gorgeous women. But to go outside of that, I think it's like kind of that piece where you just kind of get a visual of somebody and
Mm-hmm.
pre-assume or prejudge and think, oh, they're not gonna know. And then when we get flowing, it's like, yeah, they do know their stuff, even from our reviews. And then any other challenges that we've faced, I really don't see that we have. I think everybody, shout out to our semi-pro soccer team and our WNBA teams, their marketing. um, Shout out to
Yeah.
all the other outlets that have allowed media for us
Mm-hmm.
without even hesitation and have supported us. So we haven't had any challenges in that aspect. It's usually if we get someone on and I start flowing about boxing or UFC, and they're like, "Oh my God, you really kind of know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Yeah." So that's if anything I want to challenge, that's probably it.
Okay.
Mel
All right.
might see something different, but I mean, for right now, that's what I see.
Mel, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
Why is girl chat sports important?
Girl Chat Sports. Well, our tagline is we don't have balls, but we know how to cover them.
Yes.
And why that's important is I know for me, had I realized when I was younger that being able to play sports, to know sports, to want to watch the games versus go play Barbies with your friend was okay. And it's good. It doesn't mean anything about it. I think for me, it's like we want to be able to help either young girls know that, yeah, talking sports is fine. It doesn't mean you're a tomboy. It doesn't mean that you're, you know, whatever else the case may be. It just means that you love sports and that's a passion of yours. And just like we want to be able to, we've come to a time where the female fan in most professional sports is basically all the purchasing power. They are purchasing, like, I don't know the exact stat. It's like 50, like 60 to 70% of all, you know, memorabilia, different shirts and that kind of stuff are all being
Yeah.
purchased by the female fan. And that's an important buying power. And what we want to be able to let women know is that it's okay to not just look cute in your jersey to be with your guy, but also know some of the players, be able to kind of talk smack with them. And I think it's been more of a thing for me or Mo is that we're able to, sit at a bar with the guys and talk trash about teams and get into like these little spurts of, back and forth. And they, it's a way to meet new people. It's a way that people like take you seriously in a different kind of way. Like you might be professional, you might be able to know your other things, but knowing sports is something that we like to be able to help other women be able to do so that they can carry those same conversations with either it be coworkers or fiancés or husbands or their kids. A lot of moms out there, moms of or parents of sports kids, and they don't really know what's going on or aren't really able to vibe with them on that level. So girl chat sports is important because we like to be able to offer that platform where you can listen in and learn something or two, or you're able to listen in and be part of the growing women in sports movement, or you can just be a guy who loves women that know sports.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
trying to I'm trying to find that guy, by the way. So put that out there, okay?
Yeah.
Because it seems to be the case sometimes, at least in my personal aspect of it, that if I know too much of sports, the guys kind of shy away.
what?
So
I
I
Oh
don't
don't.
yeah, they
want
can't
them
they
to ever
can't handle it. They
feel
can't handle
That's
it.
they
one
can't
thing I
handle it. Yeah,
don't.
so
I
so
don't know. Like
so I've
that.
had to dumb myself down literally on
What
dates
for
in the
real?
past
No.
for the intimidation factor of us knowing more on the
Nah. I
sports.
mean,
You know
I
what it
know.
is? Here's what
Yeah.
it is. It's that every guy swears they want a girl that loves sports, that knows sports, that wants to watch sports, that wants to go to games, that wants to be their ride or die on the side, whatever.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, and I've got the Sunday ticket on my TV every Sunday for 4 to 6 hours, watching 8 games or 4 games at a time. And every Sunday you're like, can we go do something else? And I'm like, no, this is what you signed up for. Like that's the whole point is that it all sounds good at first,
Mm-hmm.
but then once you get into it and they start realizing like just how serious you are about yourself. Like, there's girls that got the NBA package. I got Sunday ticket. I mean, certain girls have their preferred sports, but I think guys at some point be like, wait a minute. Sports is your first love.
Oh
And
wow.
they can't
Yeah,
handle
like
it.
if you get too into
They
it, they
can't handle
can't.
it.
Yeah, if it takes over their love, and they feel like you've taken away a piece of what my masculinity is defined by, if you will. At least in my opinion, like
Oh man.
the only outlet I have is sports. You have shopping, fashion, cooking, TV shows, reality shows. You have all these things, but all I have is sports, and that's my baby. And you are interceding into that because you know way too much than I do. Like,
I
come on,
mean.
stop it.
I mean. I
Stop it. We learn
like
from
I
each
s-
other.
like I definitely see where you guys are going with that, but I mean I guess like we're just like you had mentioned earlier, we are in 2020, so the stereotypes as far as just anything, I drop it off jump. So because of that,
That's good.
if you're watching sports or anything, then we're just watching it together. Like that's all I watch all day. Like that's what I read, that's what I listen to in podcasts, that's what I watch. That's what I'm thinking about when like the internet's off. I'm like, fuck, like I'm trying to look at my phone for all of the alerts. So I mean, I don't know. So maybe some people just need to open up and just accept what things are and
Well, part
just
of the issue
yeah.
too, the only other thing that I wanted to say about that is that it also makes men realize that they don't have that out. They can't be like, "Hey, I'm about to go to the bar with my
Right.
boys and watch
Oh,
the
oh
game.
yeah.
Hey, I'm about to go to my
Yeah.
man's house and watch the game in his man cave." No, you're not because we
Yeah.
can watch it together. Like, what's the problem? They don't got that
But you
out
know
to try
what?
and be out.
They don't have that out. But I'll give them that out because sometimes I need my alone time to talk to my
True.
girls
Oh, for
about the sports.
sure,
How about
yeah.
that? So you can go. You can go. Especially if we're on opposing teams, because I'm not going to lose my team
Oh,
affiliation if
yeah.
you're a
Hmm.
Cowboys fan.
Oh
That's
yeah.
not even a
I
compatibility
can't even
thing. That's
stand the
not even going to work.
Cowboys. I
Yeah,
can't.
we
Me
can't even
neither.
communicate.
Yeah.
So any guy that I meet that happens to be a Cowboys fan, oh, I'm so sorry for you. I can't be with you because I'm going
Mm,
to be tight
damn.
the
Yeah,
whole
you
time.
you don't wanna hear what I got
It's
to
gonna have
say
to be
about
something.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be something even worse. You know what I mean? So
Cold blooded.
Mhm.
right.
All
Moving
right.
right along.
So
I know. I'm sorry.
no, it's cool. So now it is the third quarter. Moving into the third quarter, and of course, we're going to talk about coronavirus. Not only is it affecting the world, it is affecting the sports world. So I'm going to break this down real quick. In the beginning of the month, we had the NCAA, the March Madness, as well as all other sports. The MLB, MLS, and NBA had postponed the rest of their season immediately. I mean, and definitely because of the coronavirus and, of course, other rumors within the NFL, we have also heard that the 2020 NFL draft will not be taking place in Las Vegas this year. Of the last thing that I read, it could be they could take it down to Los Angeles within the ESPN or whatever studios, and then also in the NFL, head coach Sean Payton, he actually got the coronavirus, and it even goes even deeper than that for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. That has been postponed until 2021. And of course, the NBA has suffered the most. 5 players from Rudy Gobert, uh, Devin Mitchell, Marcus Smart, Kevin Durant, and now Christian Woods has fully recovered from the coronavirus, and the NBA Finals could possibly be played in September. What do you guys feel about all that?
I mean, terrible. I'm upset. Like I don't like any of this going on right now. And shout out to Carl Anthony Towns because his family, both of his parents, were
Oh
tested
yeah, that's
positive
right.
for COVID-19.
That is
His
true.
mom was in
Yeah.
a coma, but his dad is making a better recovery on it. So
That is true.
prayers to him and his family. Like it's just an affecting thing. I feel like the NBA was the catalyst that set it all off for everything to get canceled. I mean, as far as shutting everything down, because previous to that, there were cases, but nothing, no proactive measures. It wasn't until the Rudy Gobert situation that NBA said, you know what, we got to quash this. And I think that just had the domino effect of sports as a whole entity
Yeah,
shutting down because
yeah,
they're the benchmark. They're the most polarized sports in the world. Your players are known internationally, worldwide. I mean, this is a huge kind of effect from this COVID virus that's out.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, especially, I mean, we know of the 5 NBA players that you mentioned, but there was still, like, another 4 or 5 that were remaining nameless
yeah. That
because a
is
lot of
true.
and those are just the ones that wanted to be
From
those
the
are just the
Brooklyn
ones
Nets.
that wanted to be open. That and I think it was the Nets and the Clippers or I can't remember who else. It was 2 players from
The Nets and the Denver Nuggets.
but what you also forget too is that because the WNBA and their pay, a lot of the women in the WNBA play overseas during the off season, which is pretty much the rest of the entire year. And a lot of those women, including one of the girls here from Las Vegas, Dearica Hamby, she's been stuck overseas. And they've had been, I'm not sure the update if she's gotten back or not, but she was in Italy and she was
Oh
part of
damn.
that quarantine.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
so you think about all the women that are in the WNBA that have been playing overseas, they have potentially been stuck there, or I'm not sure. I haven't looked up to see who's been able to return, but for many of them, the last couple weeks, they were stuck there and unable to leave and come back.
Yeah, Derica's back because on her
Oh,
Instagram
okay.
she's playing with her daughter
Good.
and stuff and doing little stuff, but she's back. but it's problematic for everyone. Everyone's missing out on some kind of dividends from this. The
Yeah,
economy is really
Well,
hurt,
and of
taking a
course,
huge
living in
tank.
Vegas too. I mean,
Right,
everything here was canceled. All the Pac-12
right.
championships, whack the Mountain West, everything got canceled after like one game in. The whole March Madness. I mean, if you weren't going to a live physical March Madness game, you were going to be in Vegas to watch it from the sport book.
that
So
is true.
not only is there's no sports to bet on
Yeah,
right now
There's
in the
nothing. I mean,
sports books.
they
There's no
dwindled down to
casinos
horse
anyways.
racing.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. It was down to horse races 1 week, and then they ended that. And then even with
yeah.
golf, the Augusta Masters was pushed postponed, and now you've got something even bigger. We're looking at months late down the road with summer. We're only in the
yeah,
spring season, and
yeah,
we're already at summer forecasting events taking place in 2021.
yeah,
Like
and
Yeah.
the
yeah,
expectation was a month of this possibly, not going into summer. So now
yeah,
you've canceled a whole event for the summer, which starts what, 3 months away or 2 months
Hmm.
away, for next year. I mean, that's huge.
that is huge.
It's just a
And then also the NBA. I'm not sure if you guys saw that. So for the top, for the top officials, they have took a 20% pay cut right now because of this. NBA is not getting any money. There's no games right now, so we're starting to affect the top officials within the league right now. And they say that, okay, let's say the playoffs were to start in the summertime and NBA finals was to start in September. When does the following season start? And like for the draft, or and then like KD eventually is supposed to be out until September. Does that mean that he'll be back by the playoffs if the Nets make it?
Right.
Well, the
Or
Nets aren't going
him.
to the playoffs, first of all, so that's even not even a factor. Let's just be real, okay? If they're going to start in September, the Nets ain't even a possibility. But I see the hypotheticals that you're speaking out,
Yeah,
because word of life, they don't start the regular season. You got preseason in December, so you're just a few months away from even a preseason starting. So that just throws the whole calendar
yeah,
all the way off, to the
Well, and
point
they'd
where
already
I'm
talked
almost like,
about they'd had talked about tentatively even changing the NBA season from like a
right.
Christmas to like a July type of scenario.
Mm,
I don't know. I'm just glad I'm
I
not.
don't know how they can do that.
Yeah, I'm just
It'd
glad.
be too
I'm
tough,
almost like throw
but
the whole thing away. I'm almost like throw the whole thing away. And I hate
Yeah,
to say that, being a Laker fan and us being number one in the West consecutively since the season started, but it's almost like that, coming to that
I
point.
mean, I would say, I don't know how far this is going to go out to, but I do know that, coronavirus is hitting the states really hard. But if in a perfect world, let's just say things were to straighten up, let's say, okay, it is March now, by like June or something like that. I'll say just start the playoffs, and then if they start the playoffs, they may have to shorten it back to how the NBA used to
Yeah,
play in the first round when it was like first to win three
5
games.
games.
Yeah, five
Oh.
game
5 games.
series. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Hmm.
And they may have to break it down for that, so that way at least you could kind of delay the NBA draft. You can delay free agency, but then at the same time, the season could kind of still start a little bit later, but maybe like early November ish. So that way you're still kind of on schedule. But if you're having NBA finals in September, then that's once again that's just gonna fuck up everything like completely.
Well, and I don't mean to change the subject, but the whole whole NFL draft
Oh
thing
yeah,
that they're
that
actually
too.
going to keep it on the same day. Not to mention, we're all still on quarantine, so it's not like any of these teams have a valid ability to try and interview, watch workouts of. I mean, a lot of these athletes, even if they are still exercising, it's probably in some random gym or some that someone's opened up for them or in their house, and they don't really have that ability to probably conduct those draft scenario type interviews and test for certain things that they would do normally. And if you're still talking having that draft in less than a month, I mean, what are we doing if we're still out in quarantine? It's going to be tough
Yeah.
for these teams to be able to make their picks
Well,
accurately.
it'll probably go back to the back in the day when we didn't have the huge draft events where people were at home getting the call. Oh,
Well,
I
no, I'm
made
not
it.
talking about the
Put your shirt
event
on. But
itself, but it's the
okay,
ability to
got.
know who you're choosing, because
Yeah.
sometimes you haven't seen these players play. You haven't seen these guys play in the last 2 months, let alone in the last 30 days, to know kind of what their physique is at, how well they'll get back in shape or out of shape. I don't know.
I
It's going to be tough.
Well, you may have to just go off a combine and just use
yeah,
your
you
best
may.
judgment
I
on
mean,
that. I mean, your top
that's on
picks ain't gonna change.
yeah, I mean,
Your top picks ain't gonna change.
I kind of see what Mel is talking about as well, because when you started to think about like that 5th to 7th round pick where like you really digging in deep, for instance, like you may have a player that plays for Delaware State and who's really good, but because they only have a limited film on them and they can't bring them in, that player may not get drafted. Not saying that that person from Delaware State is going to be like the next Tom Brady or anything, but you never know.
But
But
he could be.
yeah, he could be. He could be.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just glad that I am on the fan side of all this, in which that I don't really got to dig in deep into that. But good luck NFL and the GMs and all the other leagues. Good luck with that. So speaking about the NFL, of course, free agency has finally started, and it's been a crazy 2 weeks. Well, the first week was really crazy. And the first question I have for you, Mo, is how are your teams doing so far this offseason?
Well, they tried to do a grading of the Raiders and say how we did as far as our picks go. And a lot of people on like Bleacher Report and stuff are giving them a B minus for our acquisitions that we have.
Mm-hmm.
It's really kind of hard to tell for me because I'm really still not sold on the whole Mariota acquisition. I'm not sold on the Eli Apple acquisition. Everyone else, I'm pretty okay with because our line needs help. We still looking for a receiver though. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think
definitely need
that
that.
I think that's something that's going to have to be a draft pick per se. And like to Mel's point, we won't know if we do choose a receiver how inept and how well they'll be to perform.
Yeah,
So Gruden is a quarterback whisperer. He loves quarterbacks. That's his thing. That's his kick. So it's just going to be interesting. I know Mariota just recently put out a tweet saying that this is Derek's team. Derek Carr is the starting quarterback. I'm here just to learn and help or do whatever I need to do, which he's supposed to say. I mean,
yeah.
he's not going to say, "Oh, I'm here to take over." But I do see Derek Carr only being a one season quarterback with us. And even with that one season, if we keep a Mariota, I think he's just a trading bargaining chip for some other team. I don't know how that's going to work. I really just don't know how that is possible. I just don't see any kind of,
I
I don't
mean,
know, if you will.
because you guys got Mike Mayock as your GM right there. I mean, I think you guys are in good hands. I mean, I feel like with
Oh,
all
I haven't discredited Mayock by far yet. Like he has done an excellent job with the offseason moves that we've had. To get Jason Witten, I'm not mad about that pick. I'm not. I'm not mad about Corey Littleton. I'm not
mm-hmm,
mad about Nick Kay. I'm not mad about Eric Kush. I'm not mad about any of those guys. It's more of that Eli Apple thing that kind of has me scratching my temple. And again, Mariota, I don't think he's going to take the place of a starter. We need stars in Vegas, and that's the
true.
thing. We just don't have the star power, and we need that for a Vegas market. We need it to be worthwhile. So we've got some people. We've got some people. We've got some tools. It's going to be easy. It's going to be interesting to see camp if we have a camp. How that all coexists, how that all coincides and gels together.
Okay. How about you, Mel?
What was the question originally? I feel like I got taken down.
So
No, you're good.
no, it's cool.
No, you did. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no. She
Yes,
was
she
she
was.
was saying it with her
Yes, she
chest. She had to
was.
let it out,
No, I
you
get
know?
it.
I was passionate. I was passionate. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the question
Oh,
is,
with our teams, the NFL, the
yeah,
off
with the
season.
team.
Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
sorry. In recent news, it appears that we also were able to get rid of, I said that nicely, both Fant and Fetty, who are like our who are our top two um
Guard.
penalties. I mean, they got pretty much half the
Yeah.
penalties of the team. I mean, it's ridiculous. These two guys, right tackle, left tackle. It was, between the two of them, it was just so hard to watch a game because within the first, couple plays, there's always a holding or offensive. It's too much. So they're both gone. So I'm happy about that. I know that we did recently just pick up Philip Dorsett, which I mean I
Hmm.
hadn't even paid attention. I don't know if he played last year or not, but I hadn't even paid attention to him. But I'm hoping that brings some help to our wide receiver core. We actually picked up a cornerback from Washington in a trade, so I'm excited for that because, like I
Yeah.
talked
What's his
about,
name? Dunbar, right?
yeah, Dunbar. And our we've been having some issues. Like our guys, our safeties and our cornerbacks, they step up on occasion, but they're not necessarily all the time playing hard. And I know a
That's a
lot of
good
the
pickup by y'all.
yeah, I'm excited for it. So I'm
That's a good
hoping
pickup.
that turns out
He's
to be good.
solid.
We've also gotten, both John and Paul. That's we call we're on a first name basis. John Schneider and Pete. I mean Pete Carroll. Sorry. They've done some good stuff as far as getting some offensive linemen as well. So we'll see if these other guys can kind of fill in slash help the offensive line more and give Russ a little more time and give our running backs hopefully the inability or the ability to not have any more injuries, because that's what really hurt us last year. Getting to the playoffs on our fourth string running back wasn't necessarily a favorable position. And we also picked up Greg Olson, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, we have some decent tight ends, but we haven't necessarily had a great tight end. We had Jimmy Graham for a year that didn't really go so well. It went all
He
right.
was some shit.
It's like I think we had him 2 years. So 1 year was all right, and second year was just crap. Like he just really wasn't. He couldn't block for nothing. He was just a catching tight end, which is fine. But we kind of need a little bit of both. Greg's a big guy, and I know he'll be a great position to have in the end zone. And he's a veteran, so I think with all these young guys that we're bringing on, having a veteran in the locker room helps. And like I mentioned before, with the whole NFL not really testing for marijuana anymore, and because Josh Gordon was pretty much the last person to be on playing for the
Oh man,
Seahawks. I
I
would
forgot
hope
you got that
that we could get Josh Gordon back. He's a great athlete and he's got a great physique. And I think with him as well as DK Metcalf on both sides, like what better
yeah.
bookends do you have there to have targets in the end zone? I think it'd be nice. I just hope that, we're still in free agency. However, Jadeveon Clowney hasn't picked up. No one's been paying that money for him yet. And so I'm hoping that he may end up just
He
wanting
can
to stay
come
instead
back.
of
Yeah.
be back in Seattle. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So down to me. You know, I did a little research on this topic because I'm starting to shake my shoulders a little bit because I'm a little confident a little bit. My team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Been a fan for a long period of time, but Mo, since you're here, I'm just going to start sharing records from my Buccaneers from our Super Bowl 37 championship
You don't
game.
have to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
But
You
to
do
be
not have to
honest
do
with you,
that.
since that Super Bowl, that was probably the last time that I've really been happy being a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. Since then, my team has been we had we have a record of 107 wins and 165 losses. We had six head coaches since then. We only been in the playoffs twice, and we lost both times in the wild card. Now, Bruce Arians is entering his second year, and of course, people call him the quarterback whisperer. He has worked with such quarterbacks such as Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer, and now Tom fucking Brady. All right, Tom Brady's on my team. I'm really happy about it. Number one, I mean, anytime that you are leaving a 25-year-old going to be 26-year-old who is kind of in his prime and Jameis Winston, and you just drop him like a bad habit and pick up a 42 who will be 43-year-old Tom Brady in the beginning of the season. I'm kind of skeptical about that, mainly because we're not getting a Tom Brady that is 25 or 24. We're getting him at 43. He's already slow. Of course, the good thing about it is he's going to bring the winning mentality onto the team. We got everything as far as what we need. We have receivers, we have tight ends. Our defense was number one in rushing. Our DBs is kind of skeptical, but I think next year would be good. Notice there are two positions that I did not mention, which is the offensive line. We have a great guard, but our tackles, we need some adjustments there, and we need another running back in a rotation. I think that will help out Tom Brady, and of course Bruce Arians just nipped it in the bud right now, saying that we will not sign Antonio Brown. I know there has been rumors about that, which it's I like that he nipped that in the bud now, but Tony Brown would have been hella good if we would have had him on my Bucks. But overall, for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers for this offseason so far, I think we have done a great job. So
What?
go ahead.
Oh, no, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm
I'm
done. I'm
sorry.
done.
I didn't mean to mess up
I'm
your
done.
flow. Oh, I was going to ask you, what do you predict your record to be this season with Tom Brady?
See, all right. So last year I thought my team was going to go 10-6, and we went 7-9.
And you guys have great
Uh,
weapons. That's the whole thing.
we we
Right,
do
right.
we do. I mean, it's just it's hard to at least for last year with Jameis Winston throwing 30 picks. A lot of them happened towards the end of the game, which that we really
Yeah.
needed. But this year, Tom Brady, other teams in the division are definitely making moves, like teams like the Saints, who's won the division, I believe 2 or 3 years in a row. I think my Bucks. I think 10-6 again. I think a solid, you know, a solid 10-6 because I believe we are playing the AFC West, and then we are playing the NFC North, and then my
Mm,
division in which we normally win games in our division. So I say 10-6, possibly winning. I don't know about winning the division just yet, but 10-6 playoffs though.
okay.
It's gonna be a tough division, that's for
Mm,
sure.
okay.
Oh yeah.
It
Oh
is.
yeah.
I know.
And I cannot wait. And the funny thing about it is that I haven't had a Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey since Keyshawn Johnson when he played for the Bucks, because the reason why yeah, I mean,
Wow.
because think
Hmm.
about it.
Real
I
fan
mean,
mindset. Okay.
I'm just saying, a real fan is not going to spend money on a jersey for someone that's just going to leave 2 years later.
It could be like a
Like,
T-shirt though. We don't got to get
no,
someone's
no.
name.
Yeah, yeah, no. T-shirt I got on decks. I got
Oh, okay.
T-shirts. Uh, I got winter hats. I got scarves. I even have a. My wife calls it a blankie, but I have covers, comforters. I have like 2 or 3 comforters.
It's the throw
Nah, it's
blankets. Throw blankets.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But so I got everything but the jerseys. Just like for instance, 2 years ago, I was about to get a Gerald McCoy jersey. Good thing I didn't get it because now he's on his second team right now. So, and I think when I do buy a jersey this year, it's going to be Mike Evans. I don't see why they would get rid of him any type of way or anytime soon, but he's already the best wide receiver in franchise history
Yeah.
in the Buccaneers. So I mean, I may just get him. Plus, we're getting our new jerseys this year. But I'm gonna go ahead and end that Buccaneers talk because I'm starting to I'm starting to feel myself a little bit more. And but
I see that.
You ain't done that
because
for a while, huh?
what I have not done it.
And just,
I
yeah,
haven't done it
right.
since
Right. Where the Bucks come
2002.
from out of
You
left field at a
know,
time.
like I remember like winning the Super Bowl and going to school the next day with my chest up, chest out. It was like, yeah, we're gonna win it next year, and then no, no, we haven't done anything since then. So I am definitely excited, but once again, games have to be played because just last year, everyone thought that the Cleveland Browns were going to be like that, and what happened to them? Not saying my Bucks are going to do that, but I'm gonna wait until week like 8. My next thing, of course, other news that happened in the NFL, which came as early as just 2 days ago. Cam Newton finally got the boot out of Carolina Panthers. What are you guys' thoughts on Cam Newton, and which teams do you predict that he will go to?
Man, according to Cam's
I
IG,
think he'll go to the
he's
Dolphins.
in the gym going beast mode right now. He knows that
Yeah,
he
he is.
got dropped and
Yeah, he is.
he's trying to
He
get on
is.
anything right now. I feel like he still could start.
He's going to be in. We said this before. He's going to be in NFL purgatory
Uh-huh.
somewhere.
My thing, which is crazy to me, you because Cam Newton's in my division. Personally, I didn't like him because the fact that all his career best games were against my Bucks, and he'll like truck my linebacker or something like that. But as far as an athlete, as far as what he has done to the game, I respect him. But one thing that I do not respect, like Philip Rivers, who just got a 1 year, 25 million deal playing for the Colts. And just 2 years ago, what's his name? Nick Foles got a 4 year, 88 million contract with a 51 million guaranteed. And you're telling me, yes, he won the Super Bowl, but then the following year he wasn't really that big anyway. But like Philip Rivers compared to Cam Newton, I'm sorry, I'm picking Cam over Philip Rivers any day. And as far as the teams that I was thinking, yeah, the Dolphins, I can think of that. Um, Other team I was thinking about was Chicago, but they just traded for Nick Foles, and the Jaguars, just like they have mentioned on that too. So I mean, it seems shocking to me that no one wanted to trade for Cam, not even a fifth round pick or a
Yeah,
sixth
that's
or a
pretty
fourth.
crazy.
But
I'm gonna tell you why. It's an internal thing with Cam because Cam is a problem quarterback, if you will. Like we never see the internal stuff that goes on with him, but it sounds like he's just got a bad reputation of internal stuff, which is unfortunate for
mm,
him. I don't know what he does. I don't know how he says it. I don't know how he expresses it, but there's some internal memo that's going around where they have him like with a scarlet letter for some odd reason, and I don't know why. I really want to dig deep into
mm,
why he seems like this problem, like he doesn't perceive to be. And then he's coming off of these injuries too, which it adds more red to the scarlet. So I don't know like why they're not getting him. Now the Chargers could
yeah,
look at him.
Chargers too. That's a good fit. Yeah.
He could go to
Hmm.
LA. I mean, that may be a possibility, but definitely one possibility for him is he is not trying to be backup to
He
anybody.
should not be a backup
And the
though.
way
That's
like
the thing. He
he
should
shouldn't,
not.
and the way he shouldn't, and the way Mel was describing how he's going in on, yeah, he's on that treadmill doing gallops and doing all kinds of stuff. Like his fitness is ridiculous, but he's also throwing petty shade out there too as he's
Hmm.
working on his fitness. So I don't know what the internal stuff is going on as far as the league and the owners and teams when it comes to him. It's got to be something because it'll end up being a Chris Paul situation where it's not that it's a money thing; it's just something with him. I don't
Mm.
know.
I mean, even if he was to go to a team as a backup, which is sounds crazy to me, I can't even think of a team that he can go to. I mean, because technically, if he's going to go to a team to be a backup, I think he's going to win that starting job by the middle of the season. So that's why I said teams like Chicago. Um, and what I can't even think of another. I mean, I can't even think. My thing is like, okay, no, I can't even think of a team.
I mean,
I
there's
don't
been
know
a
where he's
lot
gonna
of
go.
good, not good, but there's been a lot of quarterback classes this last couple years. So it's like, unfortunately, there's still good ones that are out there. I mean, you still got Breeze and Brady playing that have been there for how long? And you think about all these players that are out there. I mean, at some point, the quarterback, you can only have one starting quarterback, and there's only what, 32 teams?
Right.
Yeah.
So at some point, either people need to stop dropping off, or you got to compete with these younger guys that maybe are putting more work, or maybe are more coachable, or maybe are more able to, you know, work with what they've got. Who knows?
So another question. So that was a really good point that you did, and which made me come up with this question. So Cam Newton, we don't know where he's going to sign unless he gets signed by a team right now. You have other quarterbacks such as Jameis Winston out. Who do you think is going to be signed first?
Jameis.
Yeah,
I think New
Only
England. I
because of
think
his age?
that, and I think he's gonna go to
coachable.
Belichick, and he's coachable. I think he's gonna go to Belichick. I really do. I think he's gonna be a Patriot. I don't know why I feel
I
that
And he's
way, but I
good. He's
do.
a good player. He just needs to work on.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
can
just the
run.
if you could just fine tune that the passing, it's going to work for him.
if he can just get his I feel like Jameis would be a better fit on teams such as the Steelers and the Saints. The only reason why I said these two teams is because if he's with the Steelers, Big Ben probably got like a good 1 year. And to be honest with you, Jameis plays like Big Ben minus the interceptions, and that offense doesn't miss a beat at all. When you think about the Saints, if he was to go to the Saints, I mean, he's not starting over Drew Brees, but you can see that I mean, as of today, it has worked out for Teddy Bridgewater being under Brees for 2 years, got his reps up, understand the system, and now he's with a franchise team. But if Jameis was to go to the Saints, he could possibly be the starter of that team in 2 years when Drew Brees leaves, and he'll be 27 by then. So, all right. So, my last topic before we leave, um, in Twitter, since everyone is in self quarantine right now, Stefan Diggs came out with a topic on his Twitter page as far as naming the top 5 wide receivers of all time. Other wide receivers in the league have chimed in on this. You have Keenan Allen from the LA Chargers. He said number 1, Randy Moss, Jay Rice, Terrell Owens, Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald. This list kind of like threw me off. Robbie Anderson, who is now the part of the Carolina Panthers, he said Randy Moss, Jay Rice, Chad Ochocinco, Steve Smith, and Antonio Brown.
He didn't put DeAndre
And of
Hopkins
course,
in there?
he didn't put D Hop or anything. So now I want to know, what are you guys' top 5 wide receivers of all time?
Ooh. Well, I definitely throw Jerry Rice in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would throw Antonio Brown in there as well. DeAndre Hopkins, I just see amazing things
Say it
going on with
again.
him.
Say it
Oh, I'm
again, because
sorry,
I didn't hear you.
DeAndre Hopkins would probably be on my top 5 as well.
I mean,
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Terrell Owens, I think, would be on mine
To
for
too,
sure.
yeah, yeah, that's a good one too. That's a good one too. Um, uh, Larry Fitzgerald definitely should be in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Marvin Harrison too, or Chris Carter.
Mm.
Chris Carter was not no slouch
Oh,
either.
yeah.
Yeah.
Marvin
Twinkle
Harris
toes.
was a beast. Yeah, he wasn't no slouch either.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we're older too, though. We're talking about a kid,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't go back
Yeah.
and look at classics like they should.
True.
They go off of what's
True.
current and go to the '90s as far as their classics go. But yeah, that
So
would be
your 5
mine.
is who? Who
My
again?
I would have Chris Carter,
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Brown,
Mm-hmm.
Larry Fitzgerald,
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Rice,
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Harrison, and I
Mm-hmm.
probably would
That's
put D
5.
Hop as a. Is that 5 already? Did I name 5? Oh, I went
Yeah,
6. Okay,
that's
yeah,
fine.
that'd be my top, my retros. Sorry,
No,
I wasn't
no,
counting
no,
my
that's
hands.
cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Mel?
Whew, Lord. I think definitely Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens. You know, I got to stay Steve Largent just because that's my home squad. So,
Okay. Yeah.
Steve,
Uh-huh.
if Steve could have had a rest of a team around him, that would easily be, a playoff slash Super Bowl team. I think it could have been. He was amazing, amazing guy.
He had them hands too.
Man, and just for his size, it was good. Man, I really love Steve Smith Sr. too. Like, I think he did great. I think he was able to he had that running wide receiver, running back kind of flair before a lot of these guys in the league started having it, but his kind of went the wide receiver running back way versus the running back wide receiver way, that versus having
Yeah.
a running back that can catch. He was the wide receiver that could also kind of run it. And it's hard to do the old school with the new school, because I was thinking even like Hines Ward,
Yeah.
but then it's kind of like
Oh yeah, Hines
they're not
Ward's good.
Hines.
necessarily putting up what the
Mm.
guys these days are putting up, and so it's just like
Right.
it's almost crazy.
But in that time, they
Yeah, I'm
were
about to
great
say
wide
Right,
receivers, though.
Hines Ward was a
But in that
dog.
time, in that time, he was a
right.
Yeah.
dog.
Or Michael Irvin too. Shoot.
Michael Irvin. Okay.
Oh, Michael Irvin. Yeah, there you go. There's your fifth. Yeah, there you go.
Even though
Say
he's
your
a
5
cowboy.
again.
And so even though he's a cowboy. So T.O., Jerry Rice, Steve Largent. Who else did I say?
Steve Smith.
Steve Smith, and then who was the
Irvin.
last one I just said? Shoot,
Irvin.
Michael
Michael.
Irvin.
I was
Michael Irvin.
Heinz Ward too, man. I don't know.
And
It's like
Heinz
I'm a
Ward,
tie.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna tie. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
so my list, I really had to look into this, and I actually have it in order. So Jerry Rice for sure. He's like the definition of a wide receiver. Everyone's always going to have Jerry Rice on their list. Terrell Owens, number two. I feel like he pretty much, you know, him and Jerry Rice played on the same team at the same time, and To was just an animal, regardless of that when he played in the Super Bowl with was it a broken ankle or broken leg or whatnot versus the Patriots, and he still performed, which was really good. Randy Moss, of course, you got to put Randy Moss on there, but to be honest with you, I feel like Tom Brady saved Randy Moss's career.
Oh
Um,
yeah, definitely.
yeah, because after when he was with the Raiders, he didn't want to play there, and then when he went to New England, he kind of like just went all off, just like when he was first in Minnesota. And then, of course, he played for other teams and it didn't really pan out, but it doesn't matter. He is still a legend. One, there is no way one of the greatest offense to ever play in the NFL is the greatest show on turf, and one of their receivers was Isaac Bruce. It felt like every time I kept seeing a highlight of Isaac Bruce, he was always running down the sidelines. Very quiet, didn't really say anything, but he put up the numbers. And another person, of course, if he wasn't going through his situation right now, and if he was still playing, and even if his career is over for sure, Antonio Brown to me definitely is in the top five for me. These are players that I have seen. I can only speak for players that I have seen as of 1987 and up. And if there's anyone prior before then, I don't really know too much about. But my honorable mention for sure would be Larry Fitzgerald. He's just
yeah,
dependent.
it's
He doesn't miss any games. I think the most games he has missed in the season was probably like three or maybe even four.
Do you know that there was some
So
crazy stat on him about how many balls he has dropped compared to, I forgot what the comparing stat was, but it was something like
to
completely
tackles,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, I saw that. I was
He
like,
had more
whoa,
tackles than drop balls.
which is crazy. He has them hands, he
Wow.
has them mittens.
Yeah.
So I mean, now that we are done with everything, we are moving into the overtime. And of course, during this part, you guys can promote anything that you guys got going on for people to follow you on any social media platforms or anything.
Well, I'll go. I'm Melissa. My Instagram is at Seattle4_life, LIFE, Seattle, the number 4_life. Um, and basically just follow us, subscribe. Right now, we're going to be on a hiatus for a little while just because the whole coronavirus. We're going to be doing some lives from our Instagram. We have Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Podomatic, all the, Spotify, iHeart, all the different Apple podcasts and all the podcast platforms. Just subscribe and share. Give us a tune. Check us out. We be posting some good stuff on Instagram, and I'm trying to keep the funny as well as the informative stuff rolling. So, yeah, just keep an eye out for us.
All right, Mo, how about you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. It's my name spelled backwards, so it's AICENOM. That's like first name Monisha spelled backwards on IG, and then definitely like subscribe channel our iHeart Radio channel of Girl Chat Sports, all one word, and then also Spotify, iHeart, Apple Play, Podomatic, Google Play, and sometimes we're on SoundCloud too. But we do stream live. We have a lot of our episodes up on that YouTube channel, so I suggest everybody go back, take a peek, look at us, and watch us and listen. Or if you just are kind of hanging out, quarantine, reading a book, just listen to us on our podcast streaming services. check us out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's also a Facebook page at Girl Chat Sports. We also have our own Facebook
Yep.
group as well. So we do a lot of interactive stuff in there with a lot of the people that tune in and check out the show. But Mo should also talk about her fashion page.
Yeah, bring it out.
Yeah, yes, I do have that too, but the problem is I can't. I gotta reset my password on it. But it's Mo underscore. I didn't want to. I didn't. I wasn't gonna mention it
Uh,
because I couldn't get into it. But anyway, it's Mo underscore Styles, STYLES underscore U, the letter U. And basically, what it is I have a background in fashion for pretty much 18 years of my career working for Nordstrom. Shout out Nordstrom. Uh, and I specialize in personal stylings of men and women as well, and kids. And so my page is basically based off of just a lot of elevated styles, ideas, concepts that people can apply to their everyday wardrobe. So check me out there on IG. Check me out there on IG. And yeah, do the darn thing. I'm hopefully I can come out with another different type of blog for it, but it is the Mo underscore Styles underscore U. You can also find it on Twitter as well. I do have my Twitter account, so I do post things off of that one
Okay. All right. You guys are well rounded. You guys got a lot going on. That is definitely good. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on, and this is Sports State of Mind, episode 41. We are out.
Now keep in mind that I'm an artist.
Thanks for checking out another episode of Girl Chat Sports. And remember, we don't have balls,
but we know how to cover them.